Ladies and gentlemen, join alongside me today. Mackie is Alex and Justin, and together we make the No Respect podcast. We are here to do our first round 2 series preview, baby, because that's right. You all know it because you've got victory running through your veins if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan today. The Montreal Canadiens, after going up against the top team in the North Division, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the paper, and then the playoffs, 2 different beasts, am I right? 3-1 this series at one point, game 5, game 6, game 7. GG, ladies and gentlemen. But life is short here in the playoffs. We've got a second round right at our doorstep tomorrow night. The Winnipeg Jets, who also, let's not forget here, coming into this season, were not a team that was getting enough respect, albeit from ourselves as well. We didn't think that the Winnipeg Jets necessarily, with all of the kind of removal of certain players, especially on defense, we thought maybe some weakness, but they proved everybody wrong this season, including in this first round where they go up against McDavid, Draisaitl. 4 games, that's it, that's all it took. So tonight what we want to do is we want to talk about this matchup. I want to welcome along the panelists over here. We've got Justin and Alex, like I said. So let's start off with you guys. Justin, heading into this matchup right after an emotional one with the Toronto Maple Leafs, I want to get your take here on what the Montreal Canadiens and this Winnipeg Jets series is going to be like for you.
I think it's going to be tight. And I think it's going to be a good series. It's going to go long, I think. It's going to be 6 or 7 games. Hopefully the Habs win it. But both these teams are coming off very triumphant kind of wins against teams. Like the kind of David versus Goliath win for Montreal. And then the sweep that nobody expected for Winnipeg. So they're both going to kind of have some momentum. Montreal, I think, has a bit of an edge since they're coming off right off another game. Like it's as if they're just still in a series right now. It's 2 days after their game 7 against Toronto. So I think coming into this series, Montreal might have the edge, even though they might have some fatigue. I think the momentum of winning that game 7 will bring them well into the series.
Interesting take. Alex, yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it all year that the playoffs, it's a different story. And Winnipeg, like Montreal, proved basically everyone wrong and in a pretty impressive way by sweeping the best player in the world. Winnipeg are a solid team. They might not have all the pieces they had from the past few years, but their goaltending is not really questionable. This is a guy who you could put maybe level with Carey Price. That might be going a bit too far, but probably the next best goaltender in the playoffs right now. Their defense, there's some young guys, some unknown names, but they've been solid. They were able to contain Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And then on forward, you look at that top 6, and it's a really scary one, probably comparable to the Leafs' top 6. That first line, Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler, all great players. And then on the second line, a guy like Nikolai Ehlers, who seems to be scoring for fun lately. It's a scary matchup. I do still see the Habs doing well, though. I think the Habs can win it, but I think it'll be, like Justin said, a long one and some tight games, and it might go to 7 like the Leafs series did.
Yeah, and the big difference here is that obviously emotionally, this is not the same thing. I don't think there's real beef here between the Montreal Canadiens and the Winnipeg Jets. Manitoba residents. I mean, when we talk about like interactions that Montreal Canadiens fans and the Toronto Maple Leafs fans that have had, those can be very toxic. I don't think that that's a very prevalent problem between these two fan bases. And, when we talk about, animosity and there's no storyline here that says David versus Goliath. If anything, it's David versus maybe David plus in the Winnipeg Jets here. The main thing that I see in this series is that when we look at the matchup that the Montreal Canadiens had with Toronto, we're talking top heavy with, the depth that was maybe a bit more questionable in the forward group of the Toronto Maple Leafs. But this time around, that's not the case for the Winnipeg Jets. This is a deep, top 12. It's as simple as that. And their top 6 is incredible right now. That first line, like you said, Alex, is extremely dangerous. But then when you go down the lineup, it's not like there's a Pierre Engvall that you can maybe think that you can get through. It's like it's Andrew Kopp, who had a hell of a season. It's like guys like Adam Lowry, who are big, heavy. And for playoffs, I'm scared of those types of guys because we have types of guys like that on our team. So it's going to be interesting. So the difference here, and this is another part, I'm going to let you guys come in again. Sorry, Justin, I know that you get in a take here, but the difference here for me is that there's going to be a lack of depth on paper once again, because paper doesn't fucking matter in the defensive zone. And whereas we on paper have the slight edge here, and I think that might make the difference in this series. If a guy like Jeff Petrie can get going like he hasn't in the first round and get some points, the no points or the few points, I think we got like maybe 1 point after Gustafsson came in for game 7. That's not going to happen, I don't think, and it can't happen for the Montreal Canadiens to have success. Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to go back to the point you said about there's no real animosity, I'd say, between like the fan bases between Winnipeg and Montreal. I mean, in a normal NHL season, we would never see Winnipeg versus Montreal in a playoff series unless it would be the Stanley Cup final. So this is kind of like a newfound rivalry that could spark. But as much as there's no real animosity between fans, I think between players, this is a kind of series that I think can get really heated. Like they both have these big bodies, players that are willing to put their bodies on the line and get into scrums after the whistle. Like it's not like the Leafs where we were kind of a bit heavier than them. We were bullying them a little bit and just a bit more physically present in that series. This, I think, it's kind of we're toe to toe with them, and I think it can get pretty chippy. They're a proud group over there, and I think it can get a bit. It'll probably turn into a big rivalry here, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be some really exciting hockey. Alex, anything to add on that? Because I have a question for you both.
No, go ahead with the question.
Sorry, you lagged a bit there. We're going to keep going here. So my question actually is there any key players for you on the Winnipeg Jets that you feel that the Montreal Canadiens really need to take control? I know that there's a few on this list of the deep top 6 there that they have, but anyone in particular that you think that a Philly cheesesteak, well, that's Philip Deneau for you Jets fans, that we need to really, really counter?
Well, I think the first line is hopefully going to be similar to what happened with Toronto. Hopefully our first line can contain them and at least go evens with them on the plus minus. And a guy on their second line that I think could really stand out, obviously Nikolai Ehlers is just a natural scorer, but Pierre-Luc Dubois, who may have been having a rough season, always seems to step up in the Bell Center. He loves to play against Montreal. This is a big physical guy who can cycle, can tire D-men out. And we've seen it in his past playoffs that he had that hat trick against Toronto. He basically carried Columbus through that series. This is a guy that can turn it on offensively. So he's probably my biggest pick as a guy I'd be worried about that we might have trouble containing.
Yeah, just very quickly, an anecdote is that I don't know if you guys saw that video of Pierre-Luc Dubois when he was with Columbus, like just screaming in French with all of his swear words. It's like, just to like pump himself up. That was great. Sorry,
but it
Justin,
was like
for you.
10 times faster than that, though.
Yeah, exactly. And just like 1,000 times louder, but it was great. Justin, for you, anybody that Alex didn't say, or is that, PLD is the guy?
I mean, for sure, PLD was my first answer. Their top 6 is pretty scary. Another guy I'd say is Kyle Connor. I mean, he had a really good season. I think he had 26 goals in 56 games. So he's someone who, I mean, yeah, like the whole top 6, they're kind of like these sneaky forwards that just kind of, they can make a play and then just score a goal really quick. They have good fast shots, and we need to be vigilant against them defensively for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to add just one other guy, and I think we mentioned him, but because he's on the second line, I think he's that much more dangerous. It's Nikolai Ehlers. He's just one of those guys that has been on fire all season. And the Winnipeg Jets, I mean, apart from their lull at the end of the season where they lost, I think, like 8 games, this has been a solid team all year, and it's been backboned by, like you said, Alex, at the top of the show, Hellebuck. And Hellebuck is another guy that's going to be a key to make life hell. As much as Jack Campbell, who played an amazing series, if you're going into this series and it's down 3-1, I don't think you're going to, there's no way you claw back in. I don't think with a Hellebuck in the back for the Winnipeg Jets. Justin.
Yeah, something I just wanted to add on, talking about the forwards, is something that we kind of struggled with. And I think it's funny. I think both teams struggled with. We both had around 30% power plays against each other this year in the regular season. So that's something that's going to be interesting. I guess they're just power plays that work against each other. But yeah, obviously they have a lot of firepower, and we can too at times when we get it together. So I think that's going to be one of the keys in the series.
Agreed. Alex,
especially
yeah, sure,
after in Toronto, it seemed like our power play started to deblock there at the end there.
Yeah, that's true.
We had, I think, 3 power play goals in the last 2 games. So
yeah. I guess I already answered this on my side. For me, and I was going to ask you, Alex, first. For me, Jeff Petrie needs to step up in this series for the Montreal Canadiens to have a different look than they did with the Maple Leaf series, and to be more effective for this type of team with the Winnipeg Jets. If there was a player that you needed to pick to really step up here, who would it be, Alex?
Yeah, I think realistically in this series, I hope so, that we will have more offensive opportunities. I don't think the Jets are as stifling as a team, as much of a puck possession team, so I think we'll hopefully get more chances offensively in this series. And I need a guy like Tyler Toffoli to regain his regular season form. I know he had some big goals. That power play goal was in Game 6, I believe, and the empty netter in Game 7. So he did step up towards the end, but realistically, we need this guy to be our top scorer. And I think against a team like the Jets, he's going to get some more looks, some more chances, and we need him to bury them.
Justin?
Yeah, I'm going to go along the same vein. I mean, I think the scorers need to show up and to be able to score goals. I think, like Alex said, the Jets aren't a team. I mean, I might be biting myself, like I might eat my words later on, but I want to say that the Jets are less of a team that you have to focus on as much defensively, and you can kind of take the liberty of being yourself offensive against them, like versus the Leafs, where it's like you have to focus on Matthews and Marner pretty much 90% of the game. So having said that, I think like players like Nick Suzuki, the Cole Caulfield, Josh Anderson, Tyler Toffoli, these players that can shoot the puck, that can score goals, really just need to show up and be able to put pucks in the net, especially against a goalie like Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah. Heading into this series, the Montreal Canadiens are still considered the underdog. And to be honest, with the season that we've had, the fact that we went down 3-1, I can understand why. The last person that I want to mention in this series that's still going to be important, and that's one thing that I do want the Canadiens to carry. It's a funny thing that I said that because it's Carey. It's going to be key for us to continue with number 31 being the star of the show and everybody else supporting it. We're not going to change our game. Obviously, you want more offense, but the defensive side of things against this Jets team, like for me, I know, Justin, I don't necessarily agree. I think there's a lot of firepower that the Jets have. And the defensive side of the game is just as important as it was against Toronto for me. And we're going to have to play that aggressive style, forecheck, hitting, and they're going to be able to take it a little bit more and be able to give it back to us. The other thing that I don't want for it to be the same is playing your top 4, Ben Sherratt, Shea Weber. If you guys don't know, Jets fans, we played Ben Sherratt, Shea Weber, Jeff Petrie, and Joel Edmondson for a majority of the time, like 38 minutes, like with our bottom 2D getting like 5 to 6 minutes. And that's something that I don't want to do. We did it for the Toronto Maple Leafs series, and I don't think that's going to work against the Jets, especially now that we're heading into round 2 after a 7-game emotional series. I don't think that's going to be a recipe for success. So I have one last kind of question, maybe some dark horses, because I love dark horses. We've seen maybe a couple for the Montreal Canadiens, and I don't even know really. It's Corey Perry, Eric Stahl, or some of those people that kind of, that we weren't expecting to have any impact, especially with the narrative coming into the season, the postseason, I should say. For the Winnipeg Jets, they swept. So everybody's an MVP right now. I do think that there's a couple of guys that could surprise. A guy like Paul Stastny, for me, has had the Montreal Canadiens number. I know he's on the second line, and it is not necessarily, anybody like a player that you want to kind of overthink, but he's a guy that I would definitely say could have the potential to be a problem for the Montreal Canadiens team. So that's my dark horse pick for the Jets. And for the Habs, maybe a guy like Shea Weber, honestly. On the power play, a couple of big goals. He's been really solid, don't get me wrong, but offensively, I think Shea Weber might be good to come back and surprise some people in this series as a dark horse, hopefully. And again, coming back to what I want, which is D points. Justin.
For the Jets, I'm going to say Andrew Kopp, just because I love the name. And I think that third line really put up some good supporting offense numbers for that top 6 this year. They actually scored quite a few goals with that third line of Adam Lowry and Mason Appleton. Is that his name?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah,
I believe.
Great. Wow. I did my homework.
Excellent.
So, for him, I'll say Andrew Kopp. And for the Habs, I'm going to say Cole Caulfield. And I know it's it doesn't seem like a dark horse because obviously he's our highly touted prospect. But obviously he has 1 point. He's 10 games into his career. But I mean, he's been getting chances. He's hit 2-3 posts versus Toronto. I think this could be the start of something incredible in this series.
Incredible. Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah. If he's a factor, for sure, that's dark horse material. And that short side post on Jack Campbell, still a wreck from that. Alex, please.
Yeah, my dark horse for the Jets, it's not really a rational pick, but Neil Pionk, just because of that goal he scored against us for the Rangers there, that coast-to-coast overtime goal a few years ago, that I'll never forget because everyone was panicking over how beautiful this goal was. It wasn't that nice, but...
it was pretty sick. Yeah. It was pretty legit.
It was all right. There's
an element of surprise there. Neil Pionk, end-to-end, it was pretty sick.
Yeah. So that's my pick, Neil Pionk. I have a feeling he's going to, upset me once again.
Take over the series?
No, okay. I won't go that far, but he might surprise us. And for Montreal, I'm going to say Jake Evans. I picked him as a dark horse to start the playoffs, but coming back into the lineup, slotting in on that top line, just so good defensively once again. And I think his speed will work better against a line like Scheifele, Wheeler, and Kyle Connor, who's good and he might be quick, but he's not the best defensively. So I think Jake Evans is going to get a few more looks in this series, and I think he's going to score a few and come up big.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not expecting a high-scoring series, personally, because both teams have Hellebuck and Price. They're pretty good defensively. I know that they were kind of trading pretty high-scoring games with the Edmonton Oilers, but it's a different matchup. And one thing that Paul Maurice said is that he literally said this, is that he stole from Ducharme, I'm paraphrasing, some of the systems that they used against McDavid and Draisaitl since we shut them down so well. And this is after a series where we did the same thing with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Maybe not so much with William Nylander, but we get the job done here. So, honestly, I don't know if there's anything else to add here. We're hitting the 21-minute mark about. I think, sorry, Justin, you seem like you wanted to add a little something.
Well, I just wanted to maybe talk quickly about the season series and just say that, I mean, the Habs were 3-3-3 against the Jets. Jets were 6-3-0. So do you think that factors into the series? And like, obviously it's a different game in the playoffs, like we saw against Toronto. But yeah, how do you think that factors into the player's mindset going into the series?
My side, absolutely zero factor. Doesn't fucking matter. We're so much removed from the context of what the regular season was. The hockey is different. The pace is different. The mindsets of these teams are completely different. Like Edmonton was supposed to win that matchup, apparently, according to Sportsnet. Same way that the Toronto Maple Leafs were supposed to win their matchup, and it didn't happen. We're in a different ball game. I don't think that plays a factor on anybody's mind, from my part.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. Maki put it perfectly there. I think, like you guys said, it's a new season and the players won't even look at it.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to finish this off, and you guys can comment down below. Just a quick reminder, I have really no benefit for you to do this, but it just helps us out. Like or subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. Again, no real benefit if you guys want to follow us. You can find us on a search bar anyway, but that would be really greatly appreciated. So to finish this off, I do want to get your series predictions, and you can comment them below. Maybe explain why. Little rationale. Friendly trash talk, perhaps. Do you like this mustache? I don't either. It's okay. That being said, Alex, start with your prediction.
In my head, this is a long series that's going to 7, but my final call is Montreal in 5.
Ooh. Okay. Is there
love it.
like any little development on that answer? Just like that?
No, not at all. That's it. Montreal in 5.
Okay. All right. Wow. Justin.
Confident. I like it. For me, shout out to Mathieu MTL, because I have already cast my prediction on his tweet today.
Okay.
And I say Habs in 7.
Habs in 7 again.
Habs in 7.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go safe here. Habs in 6. I mean, we're a Habs panel here. We know that the Winnipeg Jets have as much of a likelihood, if not more likelihood, to win this, but we're not going to go against our home team, especially after what we saw. So Habs in 6 for me. Justin?
Actually, I was reading something in the what's it called? The Athletic, and it showed that the odds are actually like 49% to 51%, slightly favoring the Jets.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, that's not what I saw on Sportsnet, unfortunately.
You mean Leafs?
Okay. I digress. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for joining us for this quick podcast segment / series preview / YouTube clip. Let us know what you guys think about this series. All respect goes to the Jets. Go Habs, go, of course, but may the best team win. And the series starts tomorrow night, Wednesday, in Winnipeg. I believe 7 p.m. Am I wrong here? No, it's probably
7:30, I think.
7:30? Great. Fantastic. Yeah. Let's go with that. And if I'm wrong, you can roast me with my mustache. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the No Respect Podcast. For Alex, for Justin, for Mackie, always reminding you to respect the Orgasm Nation, and we'll see you soon after Game 1 tomorrow. Ciao. Bye-bye. God bless.
Peace.